Yo, yo. Yo, yo. Okay. I need to vacuum this whole table. It is horrible. And full of not good things to breathe. So... you know what? What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9... Where the fuck's the other crossbow? Welcome back, yes sir. We'll be here a little bit. I got a lot to do once I get this out of here. Many things to do with who knows how much time to do it. Preferably lots of time. Why is this not coming out? What is this shit? Get out of here, man! Jump out, dude! Get out of here, man! Holy gamoly. Good. Alright. Oh my god, it's Duke Nukem. Great, thanks, Duke. Cool. The plan is to vacuum. I need to vacuum this fucking table right now. That's what I gotta do. No more Duke Nukem. Thank you. The Coleman! Yo, yo. Okay, good. What do we need to do? Backpack? Backpack and satchels, I believe. coop. Back to ye good old scraping stream. Because if I don't get it done, nobody will. Yes, back to Warhammer for now. We just got back with Mochi from a walk. It took him 30 minutes to even get in the damn harness. He was way too happy. So now we're just chilling. Unfortunately, a lot of what we're doing here is going to be the same thing. And that's not even... Well, I guess scraping different bits is kind of different, but, like, you're still doing the same thing. I'm out of backpacks. I can't even do any more until they arrive. I ordered a bunch of, like, cheap backpack bits. So I need those before I can even do anything. Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, it takes a long time. And to be fair, that was a different project. If I was in the middle of a project when they basically gutted the entire army. That's what made it different. That literally ruined everything. But they gutted it not in the sense that, like, it's unplayable, but the idea of it was no longer fun. Or I had to rethink how to do it. Whereas now, with Warhammer the Old World... just coming out, brand new, fresh. They're not going to ruin the army. They can't change anything that will deter me from building dwarves. So, the biggest thing is that I can actually get this shit done finally. As long as they don't pull another end times in the next, like, I don't know, 3 months, we should be good. It's great. I've been lurking doing the same thing as you for a couple of streams. Hey, there you go, buddy. Scraping plastic. They, I was in the middle of a Cities of Sigmar army, and they basically had come out with, like, I think, AOS... It was the second edition of the Cities book. And in the second edition of the Cities book, they basically reworked everything to be more so centered around humans and not dwarves. That cooperation that they had rules-wise no longer existed, and so my force was kind of obsolete with the build I was making. With the army I was making. Yeah, the album wasn't that good. Probably their worst album. Very boring. But not terrible, but not my favorite. They had a few okay songs. It wasn't the best. Oh yeah, for sure. That is absolutely true. So it's kind of a... In terms of a hobby venture, getting into something and, you know, getting anywhere with it, Cities of Sigmar is a time bomb. It's a time bomb. You're never going to be... Like, I've got the Cities book, and, it's a time bomb in the sense that, yes, what they're trying to do now is phase out the fantasy, put the fantasy back into fantasy, and pursue Age of Sigmar. And Cities of Sigmar was that last bastion of, like, fantasy hope. They allowed you to use those old minis. They wanted you to use the old minis. But now that things are ramping up and they're kind of, like, developing more Age of Sigmar-centric things, those fantasy models are gone. It did ruin it. Because, like, the whole core of my army was Caradron allies with, like, a Hurricanum, with Iron Drakes, a Runesmith, just a bunch of combos that were really fun. And for the city that I was playing, which was, what was it? If anyone knows Age of Sigmar, it's the, Tempest. So I don't even think in the new book there's even cities. You can't play cities. You can play, like, strategies, grand orders where, like, you know, your army might be better at shooting, your army might be better at melee, stuff like that, but they're not cities. I don't think it's a bad try. I think, well, I'll say this much. The old world is off to a bad start, in my opinion, because it just blipped into reality and wasn't a big deal. There wasn't really that big of a hype, there wasn't any videos, there wasn't, like, animations. There was no big grand thing that I was aware of. It's just like, fantasy's back, enjoy. And it kind of just, that's it, you know? But I'm happy for it. I love Warhammer Fantasy. I love the universe. I love dwarves. I grew up with fantasy. The release just wasn't exciting, I think is the idea. Also because they kind of botched it, saying, like, you know, you can play all these legacy factions. We're going to be making Kislev a thing again. We're going to make fucking Cathay brand new. And then they did nothing. They released Tomb Kings. They released Bretonnians. Great. Two factions that completely got squatted out into Age of Sigmar. And nothing else. So the universe is set a couple hundred years prior. It's right before the Great War of Chaos, around 2300 IC. So it's a pretty pivotal point. This is where Magnus is going to be crowned the Emperor. This is where King Ulrichson of the Dwarves is going to be mortally wounded and feel his age and kind of call a council of the kings to try and find a new High King for the Karazhan Corps. In terms of dwarves, it's great. It's, like, right there. It's the turning point. It's Thorgrim's upcoming, you know, bring him back. I think it was Krakadrak, the Norse dwarves, reuniting them with the rest of the Karazhan Corps. And for dwarves, it's a great point in time to start, I think. It's really good. It's just like the origin story of characters you love, essentially. At least a couple of them. It's like right before, you know, the shit we know. They could have gone a little bit further back, but maybe that would have been too much. I want to message you something about 'cause of your stream. Well, what is it? Is it personal? Well, it's not 100 years, it's a couple hundred years. I mean, they could slow burn the living fuck out of the universe. They could really slow burn the universe. Like, they could... No events could happen for, like, 10 years. Which... That sounds very fantasy anyways. People don't really want that, though. People want things. You want to ask me something about emotes? What do you need? When I see the new figs they made for Old World, I dream of more of that. So, when it comes to Old World... Again, like I've said before, and what they even said, is they're just selling you nostalgia. Games Workshop has no intention of putting so much money into something they don't know if it's going to be good or bad. So they brought out a few new things, which is very good. That's cool. But for them to redo everything would be so much money. And is it even going to make money? I don't think it's even greed. I think it's logic. Like, why come back with a brand new game? Why come back with a reissued game with different rules from different editions, whatever it may be, and then invest all this money into miniatures and say, I hope you like it. I hope you like it. The only reason people like fantasy currently is because of Total War. And God knows those guys are even going to play the fucking tabletop. So to me, it's logical. You re-release old sculpts, and then over time, if people kind of... you don't have a lot of emotes from 7TV or Better TV. I just want to ask you if you don't care or if you... I'll put more into them, yeah. I'll put more into them. Sorry, what about Lord of the Rings? The Lord of the Rings tabletop game gets nothing. Like, they don't even take risks. They give you, like, 1 or 2 things a year. Or not even a year, but, like, every 6 months. I think they just came out with 2 minis from Gondor. It's like, who are these guys? I like the formula for Old World. Also, one cool thing they're doing is creating new units from previously released kits. So right now, from what I'm aware of, for the sake of the Dwarves go on pre-order this Saturday. They're then released the following Saturday. They're releasing a few brand new kits. They're also going to be doing brand new units in the Arcane Journal. The Arcane Journal's like the Codex. You don't need it, but it's the flavor of the army. It's the deep lore. It's the extended roster. It's the DLC. And in the DLC, they give you access to Royal Clan Warriors. So it's a hybrid mix between Dwarf Warriors and Longbeards, and these guys are the ones from the Royal Clans of, you know, noble blood. And because of that, they're decked out in better gear, right? They have more money, and so their gear is just better. Probably more disciplined, so on and so forth. And I did a mock-up of one just to show someone. But basically what they want you to do is they're going to sell you 2 kits. They're going to sell you the Longbeards and Hammerers in one box, and they're going to sell you the Dwarf Warriors in another. And they said, well, to make the Royal Clan Warriors, you take the Longbeard and Hammerer kit, and you take components from that, and you can mix and match and make a more noble-looking Dwarf Warrior. So as an example, again, this is just a mock-up, but, like, here you have the body of a generic Dwarf Warrior, a Clans Dwarf, someone who's, you know, a smith or a jeweler, a leather worker, whatever it may be, just a normal guy in the hold, but of royal blood, pretty important. And he's given better gear, right? So you give him the Longbeard shield, and you give him the Longbeard weapon. Something like that. You know, obviously this may not be the look of it, but they gave you a profile for a brand new unit that they cooked up saying, just use the bits from 2 kits. And that's a different variant of troop. Another way to create different troops is you take one kit, and instead of building one option or the other, you combine both options, and now you have this, like, semi-Frankenstein unit. It doesn't look like Frankenstein. It looks pretty legit. But now you have another profile, right? So that would be the gyrocopter. You have the gyro bomber, the gyrocopter, or the scout gyrocopter. The scout gyrocopter is the new one, and you essentially build it like a gyrocopter, but you put components of the gyro bomber on it. So it's a smart way of furthering the game, furthering the minis, furthering the lore, while also not investing money. And again, like I said, you can't put money into something you don't know will be successful. The old world failed for a reason. It went nowhere, the sales were just completely gone, no one took interest, and they had to can it. And from canning it, you know, what do you do? Yeah, there's a new gyrocopter unit in tabletop. I would like to try a new Star Wars tabletop. CSI is so cool, but it's more niche than Warhammer. Yeah, those are pretty niche. Like, there's a few tabletop Star Wars games. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, It's a good alternative to trying to invest a lot of money into something you just don't know where it's going to go. I don't know if other armies are doing that currently. The dwarves are the third complete army to be released for the old world. My favorite. Bretonnia got straight up new units. Tomb Kings got new units as sculpts. But I don't know if they did that. Oh, you know what actually did that? The Orcs and Goblins had that. The Orcs and Goblins have Black Orc Chariots, which was never a thing. That's cool. Yep, Black Orc Chariots. That was cool. Beefier Chariots. And that's kit bashing. You take the Orc Chariots and you take Black Orcs and you just swap them out, and there you go. I don't know if you're going to use it, because Black Orc Chariots sound a bit sus, but... Chaos Dwarves are probably... They're in there. No, they're in there. They have their own roster and everything. It's just what they're called is Legacy. They're a Legacy faction. So the Legacy factions are not part of the main narrative of the old world, but they're still a playable army, just as like a bonus. So they're more than likely going to come out dead last. They will be supported, just not right now. Even the Skaven aren't a the Skaven, I think, are a Legacy faction. Yeah, they're playable. I think they have new content. They gave them, like, Black Orcs, slaves. I think they gave them, like, Goblin slaves and shit like that. They gave them new things, I believe. I think they have a few new units. But again, they are a Legacy faction, so if you want to play them, if you want minis, you're not going to get them. Not anytime soon. But I understand... To Games Workshop, this is kind of stupid. The reason Skaven... Well, first of all, they're not in the main story, so I guess that's why they're Legacy, but also I think one of the reasons is because they want to try and push the Skaven in Age of Sigmar more than Fantasy, because that's what's selling really well. Even though, imagine making Skaven in both settings, and you're like, buy both. But they just want to pursue Age of Sigmar Skaven, not Fantasy Skaven. Because you gotta remember, the old world, Warhammer Fantasy, is a niche game. It's this, It's either for, like, the Crypt Keeper players who are old and decrepit, and they're like, I remember... Back in my day, we played with lead figures. I love the old world fantasy. Or it's for the gamers who played Total War. Like, it was a disaster when it went down. That shit made... Apparently, the Tac Squad Space Marines made more money than the entire range. That's how bad it was. That's the story. A single box of Space Marines outsold the entire fantasy range. That's how bad it was. So that is not profitable. So how do you make it better? How do you bring back Warhammer Fantasy in a new light? Age of Sigmar Space Marines. Stormcast Eternals. Done. You've successfully saved Warhammer Fantasy, but made it different. Yeah, Total War is really good. Total War, the game, saved Warhammer. If Warhammer Total War wasn't a thing, we would never have the old world. Warhammer Fantasy would be long dead. Yeah, exactly. Old shit, man. That's great. My buddy, who I grew up with, who I had all my 40k stuff with, he sold all my guard and orcs for weed. I'm 99% sure. He still lives in Toronto. I gotta ask him. Unfortunately, I think at one point I got a little bit out of Warhammer, the miniatures and whatnot. I still kept a lot of stuff, but like I sold my completed armies. And I kept, you know, weird boxes of guys and unbuilt things and like little dinky collectibles and whatnot. But you always get that itch. The itch will come back, and you'll go full force. But yeah, Total War Warhammer saved Warhammer Fantasy, without a doubt. 100%. Not even a question. And I'm glad it did, because what's so crazy to me is for the sake of... At the end of the day, they're a business. Money is the bottom... Money is everything. Like, you gotta appease the stockholders and everything, and you gotta just do everyone right. They threw away an entire universe. They threw away how many years of shareholders? They threw away how many years of content, right? And of course, for money. All the sculpts were gone. The lore was dead. And just like that, your favorite thing was gone from the ether. It's just nowhere to be seen. Yeah, the Vestroyans. Vestroyans were cool. GW had so many more flavored sculpts back in the day. Like, the Vestroyans, the Steel Legion, they had the Valhallan Ice Warriors, they had the fucking, like, Talaran Desert Raiders, they had the Mordian Guard. So many cool regiments that had minis, but then they just don't care anymore. I'd totally leave them on the store. You know what they might do? I'd love to see... Games Workshop right now in Nottingham is creating a new factory. And I would love to see them redo all the guard regiments. Not like as plastics, but release them in metals again. Or for God's sake, do them in resin, just not fine cast. He almost lit it all up in fire? That's fucking terrible. That is... Pretty sure some guy on YouTube burned his whole army, and that's just kind of a brain-dead move, because he could have just sold it. Like, burn your whole army to the ground or make $1,000. You decide. Kind of a dumb move. It was for internet clout. Who knows, though? The current state of Games Workshop and their products, I love. I get dwarves this weekend. I don't even care. I get dwarves. Why does it matter? I got what I want. I haven't seen dwarves since fucking, like, 9 years ago. Realistically, 9 years ago-ish. At least in a store. Warhammer game looks weird. It has nice graphics, though. Does it really? Is it realistic? The old Island of Blood. You know they reissued the Island of Blood? I think under a, I think it was a made-to-order. Fuck, the greatest fantasy set ever was Skull Pass. That's the GOAT. You want to make 10 bajillion trillion dollars? Release Skull Pass. Yeah, I think they reissued it at one point. Like, they reprinted it. They reprinted fucking, Battle for McCraig, which I think was, like, the 4th edition starter set for 40k. They do that from time to time. It was a while ago, though. Like, they reprint it. They don't print the box or anything. I should just keep doing this. The fucking dust won't go everywhere. You know what? That's a better idea. Smart. High school is... Yeah, sorry, not high school. Skull Pass is sick. I didn't try Swarm yet, no. That means it's done. Or rather, it's, like, being worked on. So I'm doing the Rangers right now. I still need to come up with, like, a BSB Thane. I gotta do the Longbeards. I gotta do 10 more Rangers. Just means it's done. Or, like, almost done. It's all pieced out, it's all cleaned, it's all waiting for glue. Because I'm doing a 2K list, it's just taking a long time. When you do a 2,000 point army in one go, with conversions, it's a lot of fucking work. This shit takes a while. Like, the Rangers alone are probably gonna take, like, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month. Unless I'm, like, Superman and I just turbo through this, but I doubt it. Oh yeah, 2K is a lot. 2,000's a lot. For dwarves, it's not that egregious, because, like, dwarves are kind of expensive in points. But when you get into, like, converting and cleaning and basing... Because I'm going all out. Like, I haven't built a full army in over 10 years. Easily. And, actually, false. That's wrong. I had armies after that, but they're long gone. I haven't had a Warhammer Fantasy army in about 10 years. And, since Fantasy is my true love, I am going all out. So. Because I'm also going to do different, like, custom basing and whatnot. It's not going to be like a, generic flocking of a base. I'm going to be doing the Dwarven Underway. So a lot of, like, destroyed architecture and different ferns and potentially a bit of, like, water effects and whatnot. Just an old, decrepit highway in disarray. Lots of work. I've got everything planned out in my mind. Now it's just a matter of doing the work to get there. Which is possible, but time-consuming. Well, base design is like everything. If you want to really tie an army together and make it look extremely thematic, like, you're gonna be goated. What armies did I have? Orcs, Guard, like Squat Mechanicus, Orcs and Goblins, Dwarves, Empire, Minas Tirith, Moria, and Khazad-dûm. So, like, I did Lord of the Rings. I did 40k, and then Age of Sigmar was, like, cities. But that never came to fruition, unfortunately. I was in the process of finishing a cities army, and the book comes out and kind of, like, kills the fun of hobbying. I miss the simplicity of the Lord of the Rings SBG. That game is hard to convert for. Holy shit, everything is like turbo tiny. And there's no bits available because everything is one piece. Two at best. Alright. It's okay for now until I can chop it up more and make it look a bit different. Do the sides have to be chopped down a bit more? Not really. Alrighty. Good enough for now. It's mostly just cleaned, which is all I need it to be. It'll stick on a back. Yep, backpack. Cool. Maybe chop a little bit up, but... A lot of these bits start their lives as, like, just very different things. And if you just sit there and whittle away and cut the thing down for, like, 3 hours straight, it'll look pretty different. And that's the beauty of converting. You don't even need to go 3D print or, like, cook up your own bits in Blender, which is amazing if you could. You can kind of just do your own thing, which is always good. Alright. We need quivers. Quivers and a few great weapons. Are these all the same? Oh, they're not. Good. Yeah, take it easy, man. Peace, buddy. Okay. Ba-bum, ba-bum, bum. Good. Good. I never knew about this channel. I didn't either. I don't even know why I'm here. I don't know how I got here. Well, because I'm cutting so much shit that I've realized if you dip your blade in water and you cut your shit, the flakes don't go everywhere. The flakes stay on the blade, and then you can wipe it off on this or in the water. Instead of having 10 trillion flakes of fucking plastic floating around. The water just weighs it down. And it sticks. See that? Right there, look. Smart, eh? I'm doing the same thing as you right now. What? Putting your blade in water? Oh, there's... Well, yeah, true. Well, if it's in the water, it's better. Let me actually vacuum this again. I realized it too late. You should have seen how many fucking bits of plastic were on the desk. Fucking hell. Like, this is pretty obvious to do. I don't know why I'm not doing it. Ugh. Decades of hobbying and never seen anyone ever do this. Hey, it keeps it clean, brother. It's a smart move. I've been scraping backpacks for a century. Take a look at this. Let me just show you what these backpacks produce. See this image? This is what the backpack looked like at one point. This is what it looks like now. Just imagine how much fucking plastic is on my desk. Right? Like, I would sit here for maybe an hour plus whittling away at this thing to make it look like this. And not once did I put water on it. Unless the sanding it was fine, but like... Just, it's not worth it. Should be a little bit, should be a little bit easier. Do that, and oh, boom, boom. Kind of a little bit more work, but... better than getting the plastic everywhere, I suppose, right? I'm sure I'm gonna stop doing it, I'll just get lazy, but... it helps. See, it's all dry now. No, I'm inhaling the plastic. Oh my god. I'm gonna die. Guess you can't really stop the plastic from, like, the clippers, but... what am I even looking at? Microplastics incoming. True. Yeah, studies say they go to your balls, so, like, if you're a Warhammer fan, you've probably got testicular cancer. That's where they say microplastics go. Shit happens, eh? You learn to live with it. I saw those bits. If we find it everywhere, it must be good. This should be Swedish. I think this is Swedish, right? This is a Swedish, like, folky pirate band. Pretty sure it's Swedish. Yeah, it should be Swedish. A lot of these bands are always European. They sing in English, but then they've also got their native language that they sometimes sing in. Oh god, it's going everywhere! No, I'm breathing it, I'm dying! Don't breathe it in. I mean, sometimes I guess you just can't really, get all of it off. It does help, though. The water actually does kind of, like, force everything together, but it's a little tedious to keep dipping this stupid shit. I like the idea, but there needs to be some sort of, like, hack. Like, perpetually wet blade. Scraping mold lines in a tub. I wonder if you could do that. What if you put your miniature in the water and scraped it in the water? Could be a thing. I don't know. Could be interesting. Whatever works, man. Working. Oh, we're working indeed. Slow but sure. We are not even close to being done. And well, I mean, these are gonna, I don't know, where do you put these? Where do you put this? Where does this go? It's microplastic water. If I put it down the drain, am I going to jail? Should I dump it on my lawn? Like, genuinely, where does it go? Like, the city would be like, oh, dispose of it thoroughly. Melt it down. Yeah, I don't know. If you make it, you drink it. Where the fuck do you dispose of it? Down the drain it goes. Hey, look, man, if no one's watching, I guess so. We shit down the drain. Well, not really. We shit in the toilet. What's the difference? Hope you don't shit in the drain. Smile at the camera while doing this. Yeah, that's satanic. You ever see that movie Smile? You don't want that. Instead of the curse of, like, I don't know, killing yourself, it's the curse of scraping mold lines for 20 years. That's what it's gonna be. You see it, and then you smile, and then you kill yourself. I saw this fat, ugly man scraping little hairy things, and now I can't be swayed. I'm forced to scrape plastic until my hands bleed. Oh, if there was no mold lines, it'd be perfect. You could do anything you want, literally. You could convert things in 3 seconds. It'd be perfect. Because, like, the problem with converting, outside of everything, is you need to cut the pieces, you gotta chop them up, you have to fucking clean them up at that point. You chop off the sprue, chop the bits off that you don't want, then you clean it up with, like, mold lines and shit. And then you glue them. It's like twice as much work. In a way. You are beautiful. Are you referring to my dog on the left? He's very beautiful. I love him. Mochi. I need to make that an emote. That's a great fucking emote. I should call it nose. Or mochi. I don't even know what I'd call it. Something. There's like literally no plastic dust anywhere but on this. So, in theory, this is working. You dip the blade, you chop it up. It's actually working. Let me go see. Mochi sniffer. I mean, we need to make it animated. Yeah, printing lines are... I've done 3D printing, and I've done 3D modeling. Not like the greatest, you know, modeler, but... I was using a very... I think that the current 3D printers, like the 8K ones, you won't really see lines. The layer lines are, like, so thin. You're more than likely going to see Games Workshop layer lines before you see your own. Because Games Workshop prints their masters with 3D printing. 99% sure their masters are 3D printed. Which makes sense. What else would it be? Everything these days is 3D printed. Clips of Mochi rolling. He's a Pomeranian. The blanket on his head. I got him on my desktop here, like these ones. What is that? What is that, dude? He just did this. Ivana took these photos because he was, like, laying in our bed, and he got under the covers, and he was trying to get out of them, and he just started walking out like that. This is what he was just doing. Like, she's like, oh my god, what the hell? Take photos. It's cute. He's not the brightest. Again, he's got, like, bean sprout IQ. And I took these yesterday. I mean, there's a bigger picture of him, but, like, you know. Like, what is he doing? He's risen up. He's killed 10 people in cold blood, and he doesn't care. He's very, full of expression. Oh, it's great. I love him. He's so happy to be alive. Something I'm not used to when I play League. Everyone there is, like, more miserable than ever. It always brings me joy to see Mochi happy and the simplicity in life that he wants. Like, he's happy to be eating a little bit of a potato. He runs in a circle and fucking goes crazy when I bring over his harness to go for a walk. Like, I know he's not a bright creature, but, like, you can't help but admire how happy something can be with the littlest things in life. Like, he's genuinely so happy. And I'm sure most dogs are with that stuff anyways, too, so. I don't know what to play lately. Maybe Burnout. It's called Burnout, brother. Gotta try and do different things. Not keeping yourself limited is a good idea. But also limiting yourself to reasonable things is another. I feel like life can be overwhelming sometimes when you just have too much going on. And no shit. No shit. Because that's how things get overwhelming, but, like, I'm very set in kind of what I'm into. I love Warhammer, I love League, reading, music, you know. I don't really deviate too far from what I'm into. Like, I'm saying no shit, but, like, it's more so, I guess, the amount of it. Maybe knowing too much in everything can be overwhelming. You could be into gaming, watching movies, reading, and all this stuff, but how much of each are you doing? It's like, I love Warhammer, but I'm only concerning myself with dwarves these days. That's just what I love. That's it. That's what I do. You could sit here and read about every faction, every setting, every event, and it is overwhelming. It's completely overwhelming for me. So you just start small and you kind of go out from there. Or just say, fuck it, I like dwarves, I'm reading dwarves. And then from that, you know, you're forced to read, like, into elves and whatnot just because there's all of these other problems, but... Selling yourself short? What, not going too far? It's not that, it's more so... It doesn't... Like, I've read a bit of stuff, but it doesn't have that same grasp on me that certain things do. Like, these universes are great. They're full of flavor and so many cool different things, but every time I try to read out... Oh, you're just being funny. Never mind. Alright, it's okay. Yeah, Lord of the Rings is great. I've seen that. You talking about the guy, Ants Canada? Welcome back, Ants fam. In this episode, I'm going to be introducing Mr. Beast to my fire ant colony. Let's see if he lives. Mr. Beast is clawing out for his life. Good thing I have this crowbar here to smash his fingers back into the vivarium. Let's see if he lives. I think that's the guy you're talking about, right? What the fuck? It was that guy, yeah. Ants Canada. I've seen his videos. He makes a lot of, like... There's others? Oh. You get the gist of it. Yeah, Space Marine 2 got leaked and everyone was playing it, and I'm like, if a game got leaked and I had the chance at playing it on release or playing an earlier build of it and spoiling everything, I'd totally say fuck that. Play it on release. And then you've got people saying, well, fuck the company, I don't want to give them no fucking money, I'm playing the game for free. And it's like, when in life was anything free? You say that, and then you say you want to wait 3 to 4 years to play $100 Grand Theft Auto. That takes up like 1,000 fucking gigabytes. Like, alright. AC family. Ants Canada. Dude, it's a small world. I think that guy lives near me. Maybe not, though. There's a lot of people who you don't realize that live near you. Like, there's League streamers in Toronto, there's a Warhammer YouTuber in Toronto, there's a bunch of people kind of all over, and you just don't know. Like, the wider world is kind of not a thing unless you go looking for it. Yeah, there you go, there's one of them. Well, I guess we'll see. I will be playing the new Space Marine when it comes out, but it looks really good. That's all I can say. One of the coolest things I'll say about this, I'll say this. One of the coolest things, press 1 if you played Dawn of War. Press 1 if you've played Dawn of War. The old RTS 40K game. Yeah, whether it's the DLC or it's the base game, all of them. Okay. I got a buddy that streams Lost Ark and he lives near Toronto. That's cool. Yeah, people are all over. So basically, one of the coolest fucking things in Space Marine, not a lot of people caught this, but I did because I was a big fan of Dawn of War. They ended up bringing back Scott McNeil to voice act in Dawn of War. Or, sorry, in Space Marine 2. And for those who don't know, Scott McNeil is the voice of the Imperial Guardsman in Dawn of War. He's like all of them. And he's even more, I believe, as well. Like, outside of the Guard, but he's the main guy. And he's come back to voice act Imperial Guard in Space Marine 2. Which is fucking cool. You can hear his voice in one of the trailers, and I'm like, damn! That's Scott McNeil. That's really, really cool. Yeah. So iconic. Dawn of War voice acting is, like, one of the most iconic out there, for sure. Very memorable from everyone who worked on that game. I believe it was the first big, successful 40K game that brought the universe to life. Like, Fire Warrior was kind of icky. You had a Fire Warrior running around with, like, bolters and plasma guns and shit. Bro took on Space Marines and killed a Dreadnought. Pretty sure killed a Greater Demon. It's like, what? Tau Doom guy. You want to show me a music collection? Post it in Discord. Talking about like a physical musical collection? I wish I still had space for physical music. Yeah, post it in the Discord, dude. I'll take a look. That's cool. I used to do that. I used to collect a shit ton of music. Vinyls, signatures, like original stuff. CDs, cassettes, collector's editions, band merch. I was big into that stuff during high school. Dawn of War was the first amazing 40K game, easily. For sure. That was the breakthrough. Very high quality game. Everyone loves Dawn of War. It brought the universe to life. Just why everyone likes Total War. Just as why everyone likes Total War. I think that's how you'd say that. Just how like everyone's like. Is that it? Liking Dawn of War is the same thing as liking like Total War. It just brought the universe to life. I think that's how you'd say that. Makes sense to me. English hard. English very hard. Command and Conquer live cinematics. Yeah, they had like fucking they had actual actors in it. I think one of them was like Tim Curry. Love it. I'm not the only one who got introduced to Warhammer through Dawn of War. I was into Warhammer when Dawn of War came out, and it was like a really good tipping point for loving Warhammer. Anytime you take books, you take comics, you take just literature, or miniatures, anytime you can take shit like this and translate it into a real-time thing with real voice acting and everything, amazing. It brings everything to life even more. Total War Warhammer was the greatest thing that ever happened to Warhammer Fantasy, and you cannot change my mind. All of these years, reading stories, knowing characters, looking at miniatures, playing the game, and now they can speak. Now we know what they sound like, we know what they talk to each other like. It's incredible. We can see them in real time doing things, running around, killing shit. It's amazing. It's like they actually got brought to life, like completely. There couldn't be anything more unless it was like the silver screen, whatever. It's really good. It's amazing. Sometimes they do. There's different versions. I think one of the few things you can kind of like look at as, oh, which one sounds better, is if you've ever listened to the Gotrek and Felix audiobooks, which again, they just brought the books to life. I had no problem listening to them, having already read them, and they're just amazing. And Jonathan Keeble is the voice actor of basically all the Gotrek and Felix characters. And I kind of like his version of Gotrek even more than Brian Blessed. And Brian Blessed's a beast, like, don't get me wrong, that guy's a freak of nature. But I think I prefer Jonathan Keeble in an audiobook doing the Gotrek voice than I do Gotrek in Total War. I don't, so like, that's the rare case where there's two people voice acting a character, but for the sake of the stuff in Total War, it's all impeccable. It's amazing. Even video games, like, you know, the Space Marine games have, what, Captain Titus, and he's to life. He was brought to life in the first game. Orcs were brought to life. Yeah, I'll take a look. Oh, that's pretty cool. I like that, dude. That's sick. What the fuck? The frames are badass, bro. And you got them signed? That's dope. Did you get it signed from the band? Did you meet them and sign it, or did they sell it signed? That's nice. Your frames look fucking badass. That's cool. You got the wooden box signed as well? Hey, I'm a little jealous, even though I have an album signed. Oddwood and Yibanish was signed. It was sold signed? Where did you get the wooden box from? Was it like a limited edition thing? It looks really nice. I like it, dude. It's displayed very well. See, I would do that as well with the vinyls. It's great. Ailstorm and Windrose Arrow. Oh, gotcha. So you were at one of their shows. Yeah. It's cool. You know what you need now is a pirate plushie. You know where I got those? In the Discord. Yeah, you need a pirate plushie on that wall. Vinyls are so nice. I just wish I had space to display them. Like, I really wish I did. I think I've got a few. I've got, like, Galacticon vinyls. I've got, Ailstorm. I've got Dread Crew. I think I have some Merciful Fate. I wasn't available. I mean, hey, I got some up for sale, buddy. Hey, they're up for sale. I got a few extras. We get them out of here. No Necrons? I don't do Necrons, no. No, I like your setup. Like, genuinely, it looks badass. Like, that would kind of be where I'm at. If I had space to display shit, I would frame the vinyls. I would re-put up all of my, my music. That's what I would do. I love music. I've always been into music collecting and whatnot. One of my favorite groups is from Canada, the Dead South. I have not heard of those guys, but yeah, you could go all over, man. Music is very subjective, obviously. Like, you're not really gonna find, well, I mean, there's fans for everything, but like, you need to kind of drift towards those guys. There's a few niches out there, you know, very weird things that you're not... like, a lot of people don't like. Yeah. Crabbo, peace, buddy. All right. Let's continue. An interesting bluegrass rock group. Hey, unique music is great. You'd be surprised. Some unique groups have a lot of people who listen. The one... okay, I'm going to say this. The weirdest fucking group that has people who love them, and I mean, it's a cult. I've never understood the group. I've listened to a few of their songs, and I just don't think it's good. From, like, an objective standpoint, I don't think it's good. Death Grips. Don't understand Death Grips. Genuinely don't know what the deal is. I think I've enjoyed maybe one of their songs, and it was like one of their most streamlined songs. I just didn't get it. No, it's not broccoli fuck. Like, again, that's supposed to be ironic, but this music is not ironic. Music is extremely subjective, though. Right? Like, you're gonna see some people who are into some weird shit, brother. Live, yo, buddy. That's the beauty of the world. Everyone's into something different. Even if that something different's kind of weird sometimes, you know? A little weird. It's hard to be a musician. It's hard to do anything. It's hard to just sell what you love. You know, some people are into weird shit, some people are into more mainstream shit, and, you know, whatever you're into is, where you want to be when you're trying to make a living. If you want to go that route. If, you know, you're an entrepreneur and you want to kind of just do your thing. I've always kind of compared, like, actually, you know what? Warhammer, content creation is one of those said things. If Warhammer content creation, if people wanted to get into it, it's like lore videos or heavily edited, like, battle reports. Those things I've seen be successful, but it's hard. Or maybe, like, painting tutorials and things like that, but it's still a bit niche, I'd find. Or I'd say, rather. Still a bit niche, I find. But, you know, you can make it work. I never clean mold lines thoroughly. I don't blame you, man. No point. Everyone's different. It's always subjective. Do I like the look of my minis? Yes. With the mold lines still on them? Yes. Great. I'm more so, at this point in my Warhammer stage, a hobbyist. But I've played all the games. It's just a matter of just kind of enjoying what you're doing, you know? If you don't like painting, don't paint as much. If you don't like scraping mold lines, don't do it. No one's gonna force you. It's very hard to do something you don't like in Warhammer. Because people love certain things, and they will go to their grave with it, and other people, like, abhor, again, mold lines. Fuck the mold lines. I'm never doing those. Or, I don't like this game, so I'm just not playing it. But everything else, they're just gonna, like, jump the gun and go, go, go. They want more of it. I'm kind of there right now with the Leagues of Votann. I'm forcing myself to kind of like it, but it's just not working. I really want to tell myself that one day I can wake up and do 40k again, but I just can't. So, it may be over for the Votann forever. You're gonna try 4th edition? Yeah, that's cool. I want to try AOS 4th edition. I really want to. Best dwarf model ever. It's definitely a middle hammer model. I just don't know what it is. That's a tough one. Bearded guy leaning over his axe. There's a lot of those. Which one? Like, you talking about the metal Thane sculpts or the Lord sculpts? I like the new guy on the shield. The shield bearers. Not even for the Harlequins. I don't even like Harlequins. That's not even like a thought in my mind. Warhammer lore is itself quite a task. It is. It's a lot of stuff to read into. And you won't even know all of it. And if you do know all of it, well, your brain's just going to be occupied with Warhammer, and good luck. Locals already have some new dwarves in stock? Really? I'm going to do probably a 20-hour stream of going over the entire book on stream. I want to look at all the new units. I want to go over modeling and converting, stuff like that. There's something fun that I might document because it's never been done before. With one of the new kits and an older kit that was released. I would like to make a YouTube video on it, actually. Or just record it on stream and then save it and then cut it up for YouTube. So what I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to call the Games Workshop. I'm going to ask them if I order online and I ship to store, will you get it before the release date? If that's the case, I'll do it, and then I'll go the day of, pick it up, come back, and then go through everything. That's what I want to do. Like, I want Dwarves day one. I want to be in that store the second it opens to get them. Like a literal midnight release, except like a early day release. Even if I give you permissions for links, it doesn't work. You'd have to post them in the Discord if you want to join for like 2 seconds to show it. Like, for some reason, if I permit you right now, watch. Go for it. See if you can post a link. Nope, it's broken. I don't know what it is. It might be a bot or something that's kind of blanking everything out. There's a Discord link below. If you join it, just post it in stream related. It should be literally 2 seconds. And then you can leave the Discord if you want. But yeah, I think what I'm going to do is order to... I'm going to try and call them and see if I can order it to the store and pick it up day of. If I can't, what I'm going to do is ask them, can I just purchase this day one in store? Will you have the book? Will you have this? And if so, then I won't pre-order it. I'll just buy it day of, right? Like, immediately. Yeah, Nagash is big. Nagash is really fucking big. A live stream of in-games workshop? What, of me losing my fucking mind that I get dwarves for the first time in, like, damn near 10 years? I'm gonna stream everything, the opening and everything, yeah, absolutely. I will literally put the book down and I can go through the whole book. Yeah, I'll do everything. I want to stream for at least, like, I don't know, 10 to 20 hours. If that's how long it'll take to do everything. I need the shield bearers anyways, so, like, I'm waiting for that kit. I want plastic shield bearers. I don't want to use King Ulrichson. I think it's Ulrichson. Whoever the fuck the king is of Karakern. King Ulrich? Yeah, I want to do that. Listen, this is my childhood coming back to me. I haven't been this excited since, like... maybe the Ruin King game, actually, for something new and fresh. I don't think Chaos is going to be here for a while. Maybe. Could be the Empire and Chaos. I think it'll be Elves, though. I think High Elves are next. Because if you bring out the Dwarves, well, we're the ancestral, hated foes, but also just OGs. Dave, thank you, buddy. Warhammer's been massive in Europe. I'm pretty sure it has been for a while now. I've been doing Warhammer since I was, like, what, 7? Something like that, around that time, probably. Well, let me see. But Warhammer began in the UK, yeah, exactly. 2006, no, 2004. So I would have been 8 years old. Yeah, around 7, 8, something like that. I've been doing Warhammer. I'm like 27 now. I'm telling you, man, there is... when your childhood is about little toy soldiers, and your grandfather takes you to a Games Workshop and you get some Gondor Knights, some Knights of Minas Tirith, you're blessed. Or when you go to middle school and your mom is like, you know, you beg her like, please, mommy, I just want the Assault Space Marines with the Green Goblin bases, or the Goblin Green bases, please. You know, you beg, you're like, please, mom, I'll ace my test. And then you get home, and on the booster seat for my brother, I think at the time, or something, there it is. There's the Assault Space Marine Squad with the Goblin Green bases. I love it. I painted and built everything in a day. And now I take 3 years to do one thing that's the equivalent of one box in my childhood. It's great. It's lovely. That's what being a only child does, and also having child support. It helps. I wasn't spoiled by any means, but, like, you know, instead of getting anything games-wise, you know, fucking sports stuff, you get a box of guys from Games Workshop. You get some paints, you get a glue. Nothing will be more magical than going into a GW as a child. Like, holy shit. You want... well, even Toys R Us, same thing. Toys R Us is cool. Toys R Us, the dollar store, going to the cottage and watching Star Wars. Toys R Us is still a thing. It's not completely under. Well, they're doing Old World because Total War was a grand success. That's why. Yeah, Toys R Us is still a thing. I could go to one right now and walk in and look at the saddest shit ever, but it's still there. Toys R Us is garbage. It used to be really good. And, like, probably in the last year, I'd gone into one. It is nothing like it used to be. Like, electronics, Lego, and everything kind of take over the store. And everything from the past, what you would know of if you were to walk into one as a youth, all of those things collect dust. Like, people don't care about toys. You know who cares about toys and collectibles? Adults who grew up on that stuff. That's it. That's who, and the only kids who care about it are the parents who grew up on it, who now show their kids that stuff. It's like a niche market. No one cares. In this day and age, why get your kids toys when they get bored of it when you can get them, like, a fucking iPad or a PC, and they'll never get bored of it? It's all Fortnite. I mean, it's instant satisfaction. It's like, and you don't need other people to do anything with. Like, Fortnite, you have access to the world, whereas with toys, you're just kind of playing in your room alone. Unless you got a friend. The biggest thing is just leave it up to the parents to kind of, like, decide what a kid's going to be into. Because if they're into it, then they're probably going to show their kids it, and the kids are going to be like, oh, that's cool. This one's like fucked. Fuck this one. Don't let kids do iPads. My little bro looked like a zombie sometimes. Look, they either look like a fucking zombie or they bother the hell out of you, so. I think most parents in today's day and age just say, listen, kid, I didn't even mean to have you, okay? You're here and I'm 23. My life is over. Get out of my hair. Yeah, hey, some kids love Warhammer. I fucking love seeing it, dude. Because I saw a kid in a Games Workshop with his father, and I couldn't help but, like, think back to my youth with me and my father in a Games Workshop, except he was there for legal reasons. You know, much different from the kid and his father, but yeah. It was fun. One of the painted dwarves, yeah. Dowie Warrior. It's kind of like blown out a little bit. Looks a little fuzzy. Maybe it's the camera. Dwarf. Dwarf warrior. I used to chase my younger brother with a bow and shoot him in the ankles. What? Well, that's a Lord of the Rings dwarf. If you want, like, an actual squat potato dwarf, like, you're talking big girth. Certainly, you know, the Warhammer sculpts for dwarves are, like, chunky. Like, they're chunky. Yeah. So. I'm just excited for, like... I want the new dwarves so bad. I want the new rules. I want to play Old World. I want the lore. Even though we kind of know the tidbit of lore, it's like Burlock Damonson sent out by the Engineers Guild to kind of take back, what was it? God, what was he going after again? Khazad Vosk. So like a little dwarven city settlement thing. Not a Karak, but a Khazad town. And Ungrim being as, adventurous as ever, wanting battle. He joins up with Burlock. And so that's the main... That's like the thing right now what the dwarves are doing. Retaking Karad, or rather, Khazad Vosk. Nothing crazy, but like, okay. Tomorrow we're getting new images, potentially, of the dwarves. They could show off Thorgrim Ullickson, so like before he becomes High King and Grudgebearer. They may show off, you know, Burlock Damonson. They could show him. They're going to show some of the older minis coming back. My brother shot me in the hip with an air rifle because I dropped his metal dwarf hero sometimes, or something went into pieces. I still have a scar. My stepbrother ran me over. That's life, bro. Sometimes they just do that. Life hits you hard. I was almost hit by a Chinese lady driving a minivan. You really? That was auto-modded. It took it away. I won't reveal who it was who said that. Your secret's with me. I'm getting most of the new dwarves, yeah. Oh, never mind. Do you like how they changed dwarfs in Age of Sigmar? What do you mean by changed? What are you referring to? Talking about lore? You talking about cities? You talking about Fire Slayers? You talking about Caradron? Grombrindle? Kind of like reuniting them? Didn't you run someone over? No, I hit him in the leg on accident with a fucking cart, dude. I mean, the Caradron look good. I don't like the look of the Fire Slayers. I actually like Caradron lore. I like their aesthetic. I like them. I don't like their playstyle. I view if I was to play the Caradrons ever, which I did actually in tabletop, but as an ally, I like them as allies. I don't like them as a main driving force. I think their typical gameplay is like turbo cringe. Well, not really. They're to me they're just an extension of like what was fantasy, what was the Engineers Guild. What if the Engineers Guild was able to kind of take things to like a new height? That's kind of all I view them as, really. To me, they're more it's just an extension of fantasy. I don't actually think they did the dwarves dirty in like Age of Sigmar. I just don't think I like them enough. They use some sort of like Aether Gold, Aether chemistry. They harvest these clouds and shit that kind of power their machines. A lot of them no longer worship the gods just because, hey, where were you when I was dying in my holds and being surrounded by a bunch of Tzeentchian demons? Save me, I'm dying. Some still revere the ancestors. You know, they all live in these skyports, most of which are vastly different. Some are mercenaries and bad guys, or bad guys. Some deal in, you know, trade more often than not. Some are hired to be bodyguards and whatever. Right, like, it's very intriguing. It's very cool. Yeah. I like it. I don't know. I actually do like the Caradron quite a bit. Way more than the Fire Slayers. The coolest thing the Fire Slayers have going on that I've noticed, at least aesthetically, or like with their army, was the Magmadroths. The Magmadroths were kind of like an old take on dwarves and monsters. In the Monstrous Arcanum, which was this book done by Forge World, there's a beast called the Shard Dragon, the Shard Drake. It's a wingless beast. It lives in, you know, deep below the mountains, whatever. And dwarves would sometimes encounter them. And I think it was more so out of, like, a bit of respect that they would put runic collars over them and goad them into battle. Like, they'd just basically control them. And that's kind of what I get from the Magmadroths, is they're just rehashing an old dwarven idea. A little lore tidbit that, you know, was kind of lost and no one cared about. And it's just cool. It's weird for dwarves to do that, because dwarves would rather just kill it and move on. You know, these things cause them so many problems, but that's a cool one. I just only play dwarven stuff. No, not really, not anymore. I should probably go read that little tidbit. I kind of want to find it now. It was such a weird oddball thing in that book. I mean, hell, they even had the Necrofex Colossus. The Vampire Coast, guys. Ooh. The Necrofex. Oh. Bone Reapers. I feel like the Bone Reapers aren't popular. Am I right? Am I right or am I right? I don't think they're as popular. Okay, the Monstrous Arcanum. This is the book. It's an old Forge World, kind of like an expansion. Forge World released a bunch of, like, one-off sculpts, and this is kind of where all those rules are. Really cool fucking book. The Chaos Siege Giant, the Bile Trolls. It's all the Forge World beasts. The Carmine Dragon, the Toad Dragon. Colossal Squig was cool. The Necrofex Colossus. This is... Who the fuck built this? Nobody built this. It's in Total War, but no one built it. Rude Horrors. Morngul were creepy. The Cursed Etten. Or Eaten. Some of these things never had minis. Skin Wolves. Oh, here we go. Shard Dragon. This is what they look like. Can I just do this? This is what they used to look like. These are the things dwarves would goad into battle. Deep beneath the mountains of the old world dwell the creatures known to myth as shard dragons. Enormous serpentine beasts, shard dragons prowl the black depths of the world, stalking their prey in abject darkness, pulling themselves silently over rocks, and shale on disturbingly prehensile sickle-clawed arms. Their pale flesh is covered in long, jagged scales, each razor-edged and wickedly pointed. Coated in blood and decaying viscera, these protective plates are as much a weapon as they are a defense, slicing flesh and puncturing the armor of those foolish enough to confront such a creature in battle. These subterranean terrors are renowned amongst the dwarfs for their stubborn, unyielding ferocity, and against their bestial kind are many entries in the Great Book of Grudges. Shard dragons will attack almost anything they encounter, from the hulking white bloated... Okay, this is just whatever. Where are the dwarven things? Here it was. It was the dwarfs that first returned these creatures to the light of the sun, having learned to bind shard dragons with powerful runic collars and turning them upon their foes to rend and tear. Learning of their power, ambitious wizards, now long dead, soon created binding scrolls that they can too harness the shard dragon's strength. Kind of a little, like, lore tidbit that you'd really never see. Like, why the fuck would a dwarf ever want to control something like that? You know? Very bizarre, but, like, it's just cool, I guess. Oh, you would die. They don't ride them, I'm pretty sure. They just put a runic collar, and the collar kind of is bound with whatever rune it is. And they just go about their business. It's cool. Super cool. They're all gone. No, a lot of the Forge World stuff is gone, and it's amazing, too. I think the only Forge World piece I have these days, miniature-wise, is maybe the Magma Dragon, which, ironically enough, I was trying to turn into a Shard Dragon, because they never made a mini. I think that was just about it. So, I've got no idea. It'd be cool if somebody did a 3D sculpt of one of those things and, like, STL'd it, because I'd totally use it. If it looks like the artwork. Yo, yo. Tomorrow we get new models for dwarves, or we get to know what's coming back even more. Tomorrow is the day we know more. Yeah, Rang, peace, buddy. Peace, brother. Yep. Today was a lore article, and at the end of it, they said tomorrow we're going to take a look at the new sculpts, or returning sculpts. Tomorrow morning, we're going to know more. So I hope they look good. I'm sure they will. Probably just in the morning, I don't know. I'm gonna stream it. I'm gonna get on and stream. I really want to know. I didn't stream the lore article today, because, like, who cares, but the minis are different. And the lore article was, like, I read it in 5 minutes. It's cool, but it doesn't really touch on anything, like, crazy. Dwarves in dwarvish fashion are trying to reclaim something, and that's the lore. Which is cool. Fucking Belagar is looking for a wife, which he does find. And they do have a kid, I assume. Or maybe not. Maybe his kid's already done. Born. Been a while. Garagrim. Pretty sure I had a few sons. I'd have to go relook into that. Belagar and his wife had a kid? Well, Thorgrim, the Thorgrim we're getting here is it is Grudgebearer. It's Thorgrim Ullickson. I think he's the Keeper of the Cron or something. He's not yet worthy of the Throne of Power, or the Axe of Grimnia. He hasn't done anything yet. He's just royal blood. Did they ever say what happened to Belagar's wife in lore? Did she die in the end times? Is she with him when he's trying to reclaim Karak Peaks? Because I can't remember. Because I know he's got a wife, obviously. Assume she died? Yeah. That's usually how that works. If they're not there, they're dead. I'd love to see an updated queen sculpt, a dwarf queen, even if it's a generic one. I'd love to see that. Because you wouldn't have dwarven women going to war, but like a queen, one who's wide of girth, broad of shoulder. Yes, that would be a cool sculpt. And then you can write whatever you want. Short. Freebooters. Yep, usually any color works. I mean, Queen Helgar from, like, The Grudge of Drong. That bitch. Yeah. That's who that would be. But then again, I mean, you can do a lot of other cool things. You know what I want to see in Total War? Shield bearers. Where's the fucking shield bearers? Come on, man. There's been a mod in Total War since, I think, 2, that they modded in a Dwarf Lord with shield bearers, and it's still not in the game as a mount option. Like, that is so thematic. How about an engineer as, like, a gyrocopter mount, or something like that? That'd be great. There's a mod for Helgar. Is there? The shield bearer one looks dope. Yeah, I've played that. Wasn't there a warrior queen in Carrick Norn? That's one of the Grey Mountain holds, right? I'm not really too familiar with Grey Mountains, or like even the old ones of Morn. Norse dwarves, like, to me, it's the World's Edge Mountains. Those are like the best. That's what everyone knows, right? But it's right next to Athelorn. Yeah, so it's the Grey Mountains, I believe. A warrior queen in Carrick Norn. Yeah, it's one of the Grey Mountain ones. Brock Ironpick and Queen Therma. Queen Therma. Do we know what she looks like? Is she written anywhere? Oh, it was also in the Doom of Dragonback. Fuck, I haven't read that novel in so long. 4A. Wow, okay, so actually in... Yeah, okay. I gotta go back and read that book, man. I haven't been there in a while. Queen leading a hold? Yeah, that's cool. 8th edition, 6th edition, Stone and Steel, and Dragonback. So, the novel. There's so many dwarf holds. There's so many. And everyone has their own, you know, favorite. People do love certain ones. For me, I'm more so like, give me Krazakrak, give me Karak Azul, Karak Hearn. I love the history of Karak Hearn with its weird little Gotrek and Felix shit. Zufbar, Barak Var. Like, just the generic ones I'm more so inclined to like. They're just typical classic dwarf stuff, you know. Engineering, seafaring, the Everpeak, the Slayer Shrine, the weapon shops. It's just all cool. All these other minor ones, like, they're great, but they don't really get that much coverage. They're more of, you know, you kind of have to go digging for them. I like it, though. I love all the dwarf holds. They're cool. 8 Peaks. Yeah. I mean, if it was still around as, like, a dwarf-held hold, sure. Like, yeah, 8 Peaks is a pretty big deal. Almost rivals Krazakrak. Except you got Skarsnik taking a dump in it, fucking Queek being about it, and Belagar kind of shitting himself above ground, you know? I will say this, though. I do like... Put it in the book. Everything's in the book. I do like... Have you seen the new transfers for the Dwarven Mountain Holds for Old World? They're so good. Have you seen them? Like, holy shit, GW went in. As someone who likes the nitty-gritty, like, tidbits of lore, I never thought I'd give a fuck about a transfer sheet until I saw the Dwarf one. The Dwarven transfer sheet is beautiful. It is so amazing. I love it so much. Like, right now, it really looks like Games Workshop wants you to go all in on kind of figuring out which Karak you want to go with, right? Because they give you everything. They give you transfers for so many different holds. It's insane. Pretty much all of them. All the relevant ones that are kind of around, and even some of the ones that kind of aren't and are like long taken, I believe. Oh. Saturday. Dead Space is Saturday. Yes. I'm going to start it in the morning, by the way. So if you miss it, you can kind of watch the VOD. Just the beginning of it. But if I plan on beating it in one day, I got to start when I wake up. Which in a way defeats it, because you want to be at night, you know, when you're scared and it's so spooky. I mean, go for it, man. Let her go mid. I've already walked Mochi. Oh, after the playthrough? Mochi is... Dude, he's, when he gets excited, he just starts pissing everywhere. He was so happy to go for the walk a few days ago that he, like, ran on the couch and started peeing everywhere. And I'm like, listen here, you little bastard! Cease! Chaos Dwarves? No, not really. Only regular Dowie. I've never, even for the slightest of seconds, cared for the worthlessness of the Chaos Dwarves. I despise them. In their worthless, wretched, just thieving kind. And thieving, you might say? What are they thieving? Air. They're stealing precious dwarven air from dwarven lungs. I don't like the Chaos Dwarves at all. I like the idea of their tragedy, but they're just deplorable little fucks, you know? Slavery, binding demons to war machines, like, Jesus Christ. It's not very good. TF versus the new bunny girl, I don't know. No clue, buddy. I got no idea. She's been permabanned in all my games. Oh, these gotta go back in here. I feel like for the Chaos Dwarves, they can't really... I think it was in... Wasn't there a big siege in Road to Skulls? It was one of the Gotrek and Felix books where, like, a giant Chaos Dwarf force kind of went at it with the dwarves. And then also at the end of, like, there was another novel, I think it was Grudge Bearer, where it was the start of a battle. Or not even a start. I think they fucking deployed, like, a Kadai destroyer to Karak Kadrin. That might have also been in Road to Skulls, I just can't remember exactly, but I feel like you typically wouldn't see Chaos Dwarves trying to fuck with dwarves often, just because they don't have the numbers. Like, you don't take on the Karazhan Corps with currently what you're up with. You know, you typically ally with, like, Chaos and Marauders and whatnot, and then you go try and do something. Because, you're, like, how do you even get more Chaos Dwarves? Like... Pretty sure most of them kind of fell. What was it? When did the fucking earthquakes happen? When did the chaos spew into the world? Was it the time of woes? I think that was the time of woes, correct? I think it was. Everything went to shit with the War of Vengeance, and then everything really went to shit. Like, time after time after time, things just did not go well. I believe it's the time of woes. I just want to be sure. Should be. Dwarf Wiki Timeline. It's like Time of the Ancestor Gods, Golden Age, Time of Woes, Age of Silver, or the Silver Age. Is that correct? Hang on. Okay, so Time of the Ancestor Gods, good. Golden Age of the Dwarves, good. It was the Time of Woes. Yeah, then it was the Silver Age, and then it was Age of Reckoning. Yep. Pretty simple. Ancestor Gods came to be, showed the dwarves whatever. Golden Age, they were prospering, they had the elven trade and everything, and the world was great. Malekith ruined everything. At the end of the Golden Age, you know, the rebuilding of the Karazhan Corps, just kidding, we're all fucking screwed again. And then they kind of put themselves back together, and Sigmar became a prominent figure, and Kurgan Ironbeard, you know, saved by Sigmar, Galmaraz over, the forging of the Rune Fangs, to one day give to the Electric Counts. Yeah, pretty straightforward. The Black Orc Rebellion almost erased the Chaos Dwarves. We'll see when did that happen, because I'm not, like, 100%. I'd assume you get more Chaos Dwarves the same way you get more of any other race. Well, the thing is, when it comes to Chaos, it's always them kind of promising something, or you're in need of something and Chaos can provide that. Dwarves, I don't think currently are that desperate, right? Because when the dwarves had defected to Chaos, you could say, there was nowhere to go. Like, they were absolutely scared for their lives, and for all the praying and all the worship they had done, like, the Ancestor Gods did not come. No one came. But Hashut, or whoever it was, which I think it was Hashut. So, you just don't see that anymore. Like, I don't think I've heard of any current dwarves defecting to Chaos. Maybe it's somewhere written, like, in recent memory. Oh, they fuck? I don't even think they fuck. You think there's dirty, like, Chaos Dwarf women? Probably. Yeah, maybe you're right. I have no idea. I think for them, they're even more fucked than the regular dwarves, but at least they have chaos. At least they have other people kind of working with them. Which the dwarves also have, but, you know. Ow. Ouchie! Alright. Yeah, I just don't like Chaos Dwarves. I think you'd much rather die. First Black Orcs created in 150 IC. Really? Actually, you know what? That would... Well, hold up. Time of Woes. Oh, fuck. Actually, you know, okay, yeah, I can see that. That's like right before... That's right before, like, the time of Sigmar. So during the end of the Time of Woes. Which is where they initially turned. So they really went all in. Yeah. Well, you know why, though? Because female dwarves are... Someone might look at dwarves and say, oh my god, where's the female representation? From a lore standpoint, you can't send women to war. You just can't. If you're always on the decline, and your women are, like, absolutely sacred, you need to protect them at all costs, why the fuck would they be going to die? You send the men to go die. So, thankfully, in Sigmar, the dwarves aren't really as fucked as they were in fantasy, and now you can have female dwarves actually doing more prominent things. So it makes sense, yeah. And they look great. The female dwarf sculpts in the Warcry band are amazing. They look really good. From a lore standpoint, I understand why they wouldn't do female dwarves. You could have maybe done some commemorative, like, Valayan, I don't know, priestess or something. That would have been dope. Chaos dwarves are still recovering from the rebellion. I hope they just die. Well, I know they die, because Grimgor goes in and fucking hacks them all to bits. I believe once you reach a certain age as a female dwarf, you can join, or something along those lines. Kind of like a priestesshood. I don't really know how to describe it exactly, but you're kind of a big deal. And I think even then there is... Yeah, I think that's exactly what it would be. The Valayan priestess, warriors, whatever you want to call them. I think that's what that is. They're not really talked about. There's a few places where you'll read about dwarven women, or like a king's queen. Valkyrie guards. Shield maidens, dwarven. The Valkyrie guard are the guardians of Valaya's shrines. There you go. Is that real though? Is that? Let's see. Cult requirements. Trials. Temples of Valaya were guarded by an exclusively female order of warriors called the Valkyrie Guard, which was from the War of Vengeance series, which again is another one that I have to go revisit. There they are. That's true. in the elder days of dwarves. Yeah, the fucking War of Vengeance books had a lot of cool things. They had, like, the proto-airships. They had the proto-fucking, like, Norskin, dwarf berserkers. Or the proto-slayers, like, the Norse dwarf berserkers. There you go, there's another one, the Valkyrie Guard. I did play the Chaos Bane female engineer. Yeah, that was cool. Like how female dwarf models having braided hair to simulate the silhouette of beards. Well, dwarven women in fantasy don't have beards. Tolkien made dwarven women more so with beards. The honor of a dwarven woman, you could say to, like, you know, a male's beard is their hair. So they kind of, like, tie up their hair and, you know, the longer it is, the better. The fucking girthier the woman is, the better. Like, there's a lot of these wedding ritualistic things, and, oh, you gotta tie your beard around her fucking gut like 3 times, laddie, or she ain't worth marrying. Shit like that. Like, it's interesting. They're aliens. Like, dwarves are not fucking short humans. They're just weird, mountain-dwelling, rock-eating creatures. It's cool. A lot of people tend to think dwarves are just humans, like, oh, they're short guys. It's like, they're kind of weird. They can be weird. It's fun. Short. I mean, imagine this. Dwarves don't like being seen above ground. You typically never see dwarves. They live in mountains, they stick to themselves. Everything they do is widely guarded, very secretive. They won't even talk in their own language amongst other people. Imagine being a man of the Empire. You're off to war. Everything is fucked. And then to honor the ancient oaths, out marches a giant fucking throng of dwarves. It's like seeing Bigfoot. Like, holy shit, it's the dwarves come to save us. Right? Like, you're reinvigorated, man. You're ready to go. I don't think they're entirely uncommon, because, like, of course, you've got imperial dwarves and whatnot, and dwarves that go trading in human settlements. But to see a dwarf force amassed anywhere outside of the Underway, which people just wouldn't see, is quite a sight. And you know shit's gonna go down if the dwarves have to fucking show up. So, that's cool. Or their hidden technologies, you know, they start fucking flying out with gyrocopters, and they've got their steam engines going. It's like, holy shit, we've got kind of these things, but these are dwarf-made. Like, these will last forever. These will work. They're cool. Yeah, you're a spearman and out fly. I mean, you could. Yeah, exactly. Here comes the Thunder Barge. It's like, well, what the fuck is that? Speaking of Thunder Barge, you guys watch Tariff? His stupid fucking videos. Modern fantasy, especially newer D&D editions, are very obsessed with removing the cultural and racial differences between racing beyond the literal surface level looks. It's a shame. That's stupid. Because, like, again, like, dwarves are not short humans. They don't share things in common. They have their own religions. They have their own way of life. Like, the way they eat, the way genetically they're all different. Their mentality behind half this stuff is, like, incredibly bizarre and just straight up, like, what the fuck are you on about, dude? But to them, it's just and it's right. Like, you need distinctions. Not every race needs to resemble humanity or, like, reflect us as a species. You can make up these alien things that have their own way of thinking and how they go about things, because that's what makes them cool. It's these nuanced, weird races that don't relate to us. Humans can relate to humans. Great. And you can maybe have a few different things, you know, human-like. But you need to create livable, like, lively races that have their own way of life. Jacksepticeye uploaded a Warhammer video. Oh my god, we did it, boys. Warhammer's hit the mainstream. I don't see any Jacksepticeye video. What do you want about? Hang on. Okay. There was a video Tariff put out today of Malachi's expedition in Norska. And if you know anything about Total War, Norska is... I mean, they're actually just cavemen. They've got no updates. They have nothing of value. They just don't do anything. They're pure trash. I mean, this kind of sums it up. Like, this video literally sums it up. It's so stupid. But his videos are all so stupidly good. I use a little GIF from his video. Hang on. Look how stupid this is. Norscan campaign AI factions after Malachi came to Norska. Like, it's so stupid. It's true, though. It's unironically true. It's unironically true. Like, Norska's so worthless. They're actually just cavemen. And there you go, he took over Norska. It's that easy. I mean, the Thunder Barge is fucking broken to shit, but, you know. There you go. Where have I been? There's a Jacksepticeye video on his second channel.
Howdy, y'all! Welcome!
And I don't watch this guy. You said he uploaded a Warhammer video? Oh, he's doing Warhammer. He's really doing Warhammer. A guy painted Be'lakor, a guy painted the Gellerpox, he's been painting fucking Mortarion. Bro's painted more in probably a day than I have in 3 years. He painted Archaon? Holy shit. What the fuck? He's been 3D printing. He did a giant fucking, like, pyramid head diorama. That's cool. Spedicey. Norska is Skaven. Norska is, like, what do you want to call them? The Norse tribes of chaos? The Norse tribes of men who, like, worship chaos? One of them. There's a few. I suppose, like, there's also the Kurgan guys and whatnot. There's so much lore to Warhammer, like, I'll never get it right. It's one of them. Unless I sit down and study it and fucking drill it into my brain, I can't get it perfectly out properly. Yeah, Norska is chaos-worshipping tribesmen. I'm pretty sure they... Maybe, I don't know if, like, allied with Crack-a-Drac, but I'm sure they've done trading. Like, where else would dwarves trade up there? Like, Crack-a-Drac is pretty sure it's, like, really far gone from civilization. Thorgrim found it. Thorgrim brought him back. Long since rumored dead. Apparently, some of them survived. Maybe it was from Crack-a-Drac, I don't know. There's a few Norse dwarf holds, but... All these Warhammer YouTubers, they get free early models. Did you hear from Games Workshop? They just announced the dwarves. I can't ask now. Let me look at the map. Let me go get my Warhammer map. Like a loser that I am. Okay. So... Crack-a-Drac? The northern hold of Crack-a-Drac. I mean, they're kind of far. Like, they're not really far. Or rather close. I mean, they're close to Kislev, but probably not that close, from what I'm looking at. They're cool, though. I mean, Norskin dwarves don't really get coverage, like, ever. You know, people still like them because they're mentioned here and there, and, you know, they're, like, just a different breed of dwarf, almost, in a way. They've got their intricacies. Okay, I need to finish this. I haven't done a single thing. I don't think I've ever seen an entire army made up of, like, Norskin dwarves, like, conversions and everything. That'd be cool. What time is it? 10 o'clock? I think I've seen mods of them. Yeah, they look really good. I mean, they'd be more so covered in furs and horns and things like that, right? Pelts. I think one of the, it was this one by Adrian Smith. I think this was literally titled Norskin Dwarves. I think. Or maybe this was like an image that someone labeled Norskin Dwarves. I don't really know. I can't really, like, remember exactly, but... I think that was just copium. I think these are just dwarves. Let alone the hold itself is kind of eluding me. It's like an off-white with a green. Hmm. Interesting. Anyways, yeah. Ooh. Okay. I'm fucking tired and I'm getting nothing done. I'm getting 0 things done. What the hell? Jesus. I mean, she's given me... I've had a few Wiglets. I don't really... We haven't opened Pokemon in so long that, like, my Diglett collection's been stagnant. And it's only if she gets any Diglets or Wiglets that she'll give them to me. I don't even go, like, actively search for them. I do not actively search for Pokemon. Bum, ba, bum, bum. I've been putting off painting anything until Scaventide arrives, but now it's delayed. That's a sign, bro. Go back and read more Gotrek and Felix. I heard you finished fucking Elf Slayer. Don't you hate Dark Elves? Aren't they fucking disgusting and worthless? Then didn't you like the Dwarf Uprising? That was badass. That was so Giga Chad of them to come back. No spoilers. What a bunch of Giga Chads. Spoilers! Holy. Elf Slayer was sick. Dude, Zombie Slayer? Whatever, listen. The people who said, you know, oh, Nathan Long stuff, it's not nearly as good as William King. Oh, Bill King, he's the GOAT. True, he's good. But there's so much fun in, like, Long stuff. Like, it's just so much action. Action everywhere. It's great, and it doesn't really get stale. I like them both. They're both really good. Zombie Slayer is, probably one of the few Gotrek and Felix books where you're like, damn, this is fucking depressing. This is so depressing. Well, I mean, yeah, a lot of people would disagree. But, you know, everyone has their preferences. They're I don't know. Long stuff is just kind of... I found William King's... It kind of felt more like a little bit of a D&D adventure. And then when you get into Nathan Long, it's just like a little bit of that, but fucking action everywhere. You know? It sounds... It's a really weird... It is a bit weird. I, too, had an ick feeling with it, but it actually smooths it. It gets better. It's like, oh, okay, sure. I believe it. Felix is not, like... He's not going to be on Twitter anytime soon with, like, a PDF opened up, you know? It sounds weird. But, like, again, it actually... It's written better later on. Sounds like typical grimdark to me. I expect from the Warhammer franchises. It's I don't know, like, Gotrek and Felix is good. And then when you get to the End Times books, it's like, fucking Christ. Felix is every man ever. But, you know. There was a certain tone about the End Times books. And no shit, it's the End Times, but, like, you kind of just start to get sad. Yeah, those are great. Shaman Slayer's got some fucked up shit in it, too. That was, Bro, I almost cried. I almost shed man tears. Like, damn. Feels bad, dude. They almost got me. I mean, that's just the End Times. It's like, nothing good can happen. For every step forward is 10 steps backwards. Like, yeah, Belagar was beheaded by Queek. They then sieged Carrick 8 Peaks, and Thorgrim, being Giga Chad, you know, he's like, fuck this, I'm leading the fight out there. And so he goes out with his throng, and he ends up killing Queek, right? And I think also even a Vermin Lord. And, you know, they retire to the mountain, and he gets shanked to death, and then a bunch of Skavens start coming in, and that's gone. Carrick 8 Peaks is... Or not Carrick 8 Peaks, Kara's a Crack is gone. End Times was, like... I really gotta go buy those books. I can't remember how many there were. The one cool thing about the End Times, though, that I really did like... is the representation of everyone involved. So in some of the supplements for the games, for like literally just the supplements for the End Times, they actually show you what these units look like. So the Brotherhood of the Anvil, when Thoric leaves, you know, Karak Azul to go find the Gate of Alaya and to try and get to her to help him, you know, like, hey, an ancestor god, help us. It shows his retinue of, like, Anvil Guard, and they have names. That's cool. Nowhere else would you see that. Like, they really give names to characters that you'd think are nobodies. So his Anvil Guard are called the Brotherhood of the Anvil. The two guard around the Anvil themselves have names. I forgot what they were, but, you know, that's cool, right? They now are somebodies. They're not nobodies. Thoric leads an expedition, again, to go find the Gate of Valaya, or Valaya, and he ends up, I believe, getting ambushed by Kemmler and Krell, I think it was. Or was it Neferata or something? I think Neferata was there with, like, Krell and Kemmler. Some shit like that, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while. And a reinforcement, you know, throng of, like, what's his name? King Cazador and his guys show up. They all get fucked up, whatever. Basically, they lose. They're not able to, you know, awake Valaya and get their help. And so what Thoric does is he smashes his Anvil of Doom, and it sends out like a giant fucking nuclear shockwave that kills all of the undead in the hold. Or not in the hold, but in the underway. He just blows himself up after getting shanked, I think, by Neferata and, like, thrown in some chasm. He crawls back up and, like, you know, last stands it. So that's his gig. You know, Thoric was always about reclaiming lost artifacts and trying to, like, better the Dwarven race through the histories of the past, right? Like, how many great weapons have been lost with runes? How many different holds with, like, God knows what secrets are in them? They can help us. They can further our, you know, efforts to, like, reclaim the Karazhan Core. That's his gig, and that's kind of where he ends in the end times. He believes through finding the ancestor gods, he can bring forth kind of, like, more help for the dwarves. And you know what's crazy? She was in there. He finds, actually, Valaya in there, and then Nagash comes in and slurps her up, and she's gone. Yeah, so that was cool. It was a very... I mean, Thoric's a pretty stubborn fuck, right? Like, if he's gonna go down, he'll go down with his anvil. One of his most, like, prized possessions. So, it was a cool way to go. Kind of sad, but, you know. His death was cooler than fucking, like, Thorgrim's. Or Ungrim exploding. I believe in what? Where was he? Middenheim? Something like that. To halt the chaos and have everyone retreat. A noble sacrifice. Morpheus, yo, buddy. Think Grim Burlickson flooded holds and just died. I think that's where he went, I believe. Crag the Grim just dies with all of his, like, apprentices in, like, the underway, I believe. No, it didn't. Thorgrim went out like a fucking chump. He literally went out like a nobody. And they absolutely disrespected Thorgrim. Completely. I hated it. It's like the one guy who wanted to do so much for the Karazhan Core. Return it to his former glory, you know, strike out the grudges, reclaim the holds, but be smart about it. You know, we don't have to avenge these fucking century-long grudges that are just so stupid. Throw them on the back burner, forget about them for now. Like, let's claim what we can claim and let's do what we can do now. While still, you know, maybe going after those things a little bit later. He's a guy of action. He doesn't want to sit around and talk in a fucking cave for the rest of his life about, oh, we could do this, maybe we can't, blah, 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 blah. He actually wanted to get stuff done, and he did. Because the dwarves are so steadfast in their ways that, like, to get them to do anything just takes too long. Because there's this problem, or we don't have this, or there's clan squabbling, or we just, you know, like, why aid this faction? We could just sit in our mountain holes and fucking weather the storm. Survive, you know? We just dig, dig, dig. He wanted to get shit done. Exactly. I mean, everyone's idea for the dwarves, I mean, hide away in your mountain holds, or make a name for ourselves and, you know, go out and face destiny, and maybe crush it. Like, it's very dwarven to go both ways, because the dwarves don't concern themselves with other people's problems, usually. When a problem arises, if it's an oath that needs to be honored, they will march out to war. Or if it doesn't really concern them, they're just gonna sit inside and fucking live in their mountains, you know? If problems arise, you close the main gate, and you can just stay in there kind of indefinitely. So... yeah, they're very much a... I mean, greed is just the name of the game for dwarves. Greed. More, more, more. Dig, dig, dig. We don't need to involve ourselves. So Thorgrim was very good for that. What do dwarves eat? Well, they trade with the Empire, so whatever the Empire can offer, you know, that the dwarves cannot get. So, dwarven-made things that they eat are things like stone bread, which is like an oaty, you know, bread with like crushed up stone. They've been known to eat fish. In one of the holds, I think it was Karak Dum. Like, you know, they had this, like, underground pond, and, oh, there's fish, let's eat them, even though they're fucking tainted. Whatever, right? You know, you do what you have to survive. They eat mushrooms, things that grow in caves. They've got goats. You know, you can probably make milk, you can have meat. They go hunting for whatever else. You know, they got rangers and shit that go out and try and bring things in. Whatever's available. Or what you can trade with the Empire. The Empire brings in, you know, things to make beers and food to eat, and the dwarves trade in precious minerals and ore. Whatever it may be that they need. Arms. In one of the... I mean, in one of the stories, it's like the dwarven throng sat down and pulled out a bunch of sandwiches and ate. Like, bitch, they got dwarven sandwiches? Like, what the fuck does a dwarven sandwich even look like? I guess it makes sense, but, you know. They ate sandwiches. Grombrindle in the end times, you mean? I wish I could tell you off the top of my head, but I'd have to go look at it again. I just can't remember. Genuinely. At that point, though, Grombrindle was kind of like a demigod. Like, bro is just... He was the spirit of, I believe, vengeance, is more or less what he was in fantasy. And in Age of Sigmar, he became the spirit of kind of like guidance, right? Previously, the Wrath of the Dwarves, everyone has wronged them over the years, centuries, I should say. And, you know, when things were dire, when dwarves needed a vengeance, or whatever, he would show up and kind of enact that. He was the wrath of the dwarves, the spirit of them made manifest. And, he was kind of reforged in Age of Sigmar when the world ended by Grungni. And his job then was to kind of like reunite the dwarves because there's such a shattered faction, or not a faction, but like a race, right? Like even in fantasy, the dwarf holds, they're not like, oh, what's up, guys? How's it going? You've got problems. You know, sometimes clans might not like each other, whatever it may be. Not to the point of like civil war, but In Age of Sigmar, I'm 99% sure the Fire Slayers don't want anything to do with the Caradron. The Dispossessed are very much their own thing. Everyone is just separated, you know? And the Dwarves, like apes, Dwarves strong together. And Grombrindle is kind of like driving them towards that unity. Just driving them towards the betterment of the Dwarven race. It is Snorri Whitebeard, that is confirmed. It is not the first High King, but like you could say one of the most prominent ones, yeah. It was Snorri. He shows up a bunch in the books, too. I mean, he shows up in Age of Sigmar. There's a whole anthology series with him where he kind of, like, makes his way through the realms, and he manifests through different forms. In one of the stories, he's like a Fire Slayer elder, I believe, witnessing a trial or a birth of a child, giving guidance. The brewery story about him kind of showing up at basically a dispossessed tavern, like a classic, typical dwarf bar. And he's always giving, you know, tips and tricks. He's like, "Oi, lad, you gotta do this with the hops, bruv, and you gotta do this, and oh, this season's gonna be great." And the guy working there, he's a beardling, and his father, I think he always like, you know, "I'll tell my dad," or whatever. Another one is he manifests himself aboard a Caradron vessel, and fucking Marathi shows up and starts attacking them all, and he kind of like fucks her up a little bit. Yeah, it's cool. It's Grombrindle, The Tales of the Wanderer, I believe. Yeah, that was at the end of the book, the Ogre one. That's a cool book. You know, people say they don't like dwarves in Age of Sigmar. I'm kind of with them to a degree, but like, Chronicles of the Wanderer, yeah. It's pretty cool. Apparently, Grombrindle hunted down Malekith and was about to kill him, but he couldn't because he saw his old friend and forgave him. That's a bunch of fucking That's bullshit, bro. Oh, sorry, Malekith. You fucking murdered my whole race? It's okay, dude. You're my old friend. It's fine. I think you may be right. I think that's kind of where it was in the end times. I think I read something like that too, but again, I'm not 100% sure, so I don't want to say it. But I believe that was kind of it. It's probably worded so differently, but, like, that's maybe the gist of it, yes. And you would never, in any capacity, how could you ever agree to friendship ever again? You fucking slaughter that guy. Like, you doomed my whole race. You murdered my people. All for what? Power? You deserve to die. Like, to a dwarf, that is irredeemable. But the fact that someone like Grombrindle, Snorri Whitebeard, the High King, the guy who, like, all dwarves would look to for guidance, is saying, it's okay, dude, don't worry. I think you should never forgive something like that. That doesn't make sense. That is so undwarven, like, nah, bro. No. Not to mention the Dark Elves as a whole are just fucking worthless beings anyways. They're just the horrible creatures. So, like, twice the grudge. I may make an attempt to hunt down the End Times books. Maybe. There's quite a few of them. I think it's like Archaon. There's one with Nagash. I don't even know, man. There's so many. The Glotkin. I think I have one of them. I think I got Thanquil. If that's one of them. I don't know if they're the novels or whatnot, but... The End Times to me is such like a weird fever dream. I still have the flyer. I still have the flyer somewhere from the Games Workshop that I go to that was given out when the End Times was happening. And they said, the end of the world is coming. Choose your side. And it was a whole thing of like playing End Times games. And at the time, nobody knew what it was. Like, oh, the end of the world? Is this a great new event? And it's like, yeah, it's an event that's ending fantasy. Yep. Well, of course. There are, again, things about the end times that I do like. But it just seems like, yes, it was for the money, get it out the door, move on with Sigmarines. If Disney made the movie about that, they would have Grombernal forgive Malekith. Yeah? Sounds about right. I didn't know Games Workshop was Disney, though, because that's, I'm pretty sure what happened. Yo, yo. We're gonna be ending soon. It's a little late for me. I think after I'm done this, I'm just gonna end. Exactly, yeah. They did basically give you, like... You know what it was? It was... what was the Marvel event that had everyone, you know, involved? What was that called? What was that movie? Endgame. Basically Endgame. Except, like, Turbo Endgame. It's really over. Well, right now it's 11 p.m. Yeah. Endgame was truly the endgame for Marvel Lamau. 9 out of 10 movies, TV show for Marvel sucks now. I don't watch any of that shit. Marvel doesn't intrigue me. Marvel is just such a thing of the past. For me. I've always been a DC fanboy, but, like, I don't even think DC's doing well. But, you know, subjective. I got no idea. A lot of people love Marvel. I mean, for me, Marvel, like, I watched the older, like, X-Men and the Wolverine, fucking Logan. Logan was good. The first Iron Man that came out, or Iron Man. The first Incredible Hulk one. It seemed like they took it a little bit more seriously at first, and then it just kind of became like this jokey franchise. Somewhat, you know? Heroes after Snyderverse. Yeah, I heard that wasn't too good. I don't know, the only thing I'm really concerned about right now universe-wise would be Runeterra and, like, Warhammer Fantasy, the old world. I might read a little bit more into Necromunda. I quite like the Ironhead Squat Prospectors compared to, like, the Leagues of Votann, but... Well, I don't blame you, brother. The thing is, though, you know they stopped making color stories? They stopped writing, like, stories of, characters and whatnot for League because it just wasn't doing well. It didn't generate anything. League of Legends has basically canned any sort of canonical writing. Like, they don't want to do short stories, they don't want to make events, they don't want to do games. They just want to give you things that are more so for fun. And I think that's the way to do it now. I think League of Legends, the player base, doesn't care about that stuff, and the people who will are the MMO guys. So you need to give the people what they want, and what the people want is pure gameplay. Like, they gutted Riot Forge, which was their narrative-driven games that were based in lore. The only thing that actually furthers lore was Arcane. And that's not even furthering lore, it's like a retelling of it. Yeah, Riot Forge was cool. But, you know, can you blame... They're a company. They have to make money. I own the Ruin King. The Ruin King fucking, like... Here, hang on. You see on my camera? You're getting a behind-the-scenes look. I love that game. That game is sick. The fucking Ruin King, like, Collector's Edition, one of my favorites. But they decided to not pursue that. That game is so good. But it didn't make them money. They came out with a whole Collector's Edition. They fucking made like 4 to 5 other games along with it, which all failed. It was a matter of passion and love, but the audience didn't care about that. Because that's what those games were. When you do anything lore-related, story-related, character-related, things that put you in a universe, it is a minority that will be interested in stuff like that. Like, at least for League's sake, League is a gamer's paradise. You don't give gamers a book to read, you give them a game to play. So... it just doesn't work with the League player base. Just give them more gamer-related things, and fuck the lore until the MMO. That's your best way of doing it, man. Well, a gamer's paradise, it's a game's game. It's no longer interested in telling stories. I played the new game on stream. Again, it was love and attention and people caring about the universe, but their audience doesn't. Their audience is exactly the opposite. A lot of people do like it, but it's still a minority. I wish there was a Bilgewater novel. I really do. I'd totally read it. That'd be dope. Like, anything League-related, Bilgewater, sign me up. If it's Ionia, don't care. If it's Noxus, don't care. Needs to be Bilgewater. Breaking into movies was smart, though, because thankfully you can draw people in. Exactly. It's easier storytelling. Or, not easier storytelling, but it's a better way to tell a story. It's more engaging than a book. You can't give fucking gamers with the attention span of, like, a grain of rice something to read. It's just not what they're into. I'm a gamer, you know, but I prefer reading about weird shit and, you know, different lores and whatnot. Like, it's just intriguing. But the vast majority of people don't care about that stuff. Yeah, people don't read... How many people do you think know the basic lore blurb of their character that they're playing? We're talking, like, the paragraph. Like, Cho'Gath is from the void, he's hungry. Every Cho'Gath player doesn't know that. They're like, big purple lobster man with claws and bite. Whatever it may be. Okay, folks, listen up. It's about 11 p.m. It's time for me to leave. Okay, it's, you know what I mean by that. I'm not saying, like, oh, it's a definite, they don't know anything, but that's more of where they would be. Well, to be fair, well, that's what I'm saying. Not everyone's going to be invested in a game. You want to play a game to have fun. I want to play a game to have fun, but I also enjoy aspects of a game that I can latch onto to keep me coming back and to keep me interested in the grand scheme of things. You can enjoy a game free of baggage, and that's awesome. There is nothing wrong with that. That's perfect. But on the flip side, you can still enjoy that, but then you can enjoy an aspect of it, like a faction, a character, a species, you know. That's why Warhammer is so appealing to people. Warhammer is a game, but the universe as well is very intriguing, and people kind of latch on to different things, and, you know, they love it because of that. WoW lore. Yeah, I don't even know WoW lore anymore. Warcraft was great, though, for sure. RuneScape lore. The RuneScape lore is cutting trees, fishing for shrimp, and walking into the wilderness, and going to house parties. Alright, folks, I gotta go. That's it for me. It's about 11 o'clock, and I'm tired and hungry, and I want to go see my dog, Mochi, because he's been out there kind of chilling for about 2 hours. So yeah. Everyone, take care of yourselves. Have a great fucking night. Stay safe. I will be on this stream tomorrow morning. We are getting another Dwarf article, and I have a lot to talk about. So I'm going to arrive whenever that goes live. And after that's done, we're going to get on League and stream League, alright?